Hello and welcome to Everyday Eternal number 122, your favorite, most deceptively named bi-weekly legacy podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our brand new supporters. Actually, not brand new supporters. Martin has updated his tier, so thank you so much for that. And our brand new supporter, Joel Walmer. Thank you so much for that. If you want to support the running of the show directly, you can support us on patreon.com/everydayeternal. Callum, what's it like? What's it like not marrying a bunch of people every month? Actually, that's the weirdest way I could have phrased it. I was just getting at...
So the people listening need to understand that I'm never prepared for these opening questions. Julian just says, and speaking of, what is it like not being married to loads of people every week? That's a great question.
I was actually trying to immediately get at that. For some reason, our hotel got insanely popular for weddings, and I feel like I've been planning. Like, this is the first time in my professional life where I'm planning more weddings and events than I actually can keep in my head. So I have to like organize and structure them.
So in our notes, I do have like it says, "What have people you've been up to lately?" And your first thing you say, "Lots of weddings." I was like, "Wow, you're getting married lots of times." That's. I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
but,
I actually now. Okay. Oh yeah, I guess I literally told my colleague at a different company, I'm getting so many wedding requests, I don't know what to do, and she was like, "From whom?" From clients, you know?
Yeah, of course, Julian, of course.
Yeah, I guess like a lot of people just they've been holding out, and now with like COVID on the downswing, everybody is like, you know what, we should get married.
Yeah.
If only for tax reasons.
I did go to a wedding over like COVID and stuff, like kind of distance and all that kind of stuff. And I had a quick conversation with someone working there, and they did say like it's busy, but like they're expecting a huge boom when things start to settle down. So it makes sense that that area is just going crazy.
What have you been up to? Have you ever married?
Good question.
People?
I can't follow that. I haven't been going to loads of weddings. I haven't been sorting out lots of weddings. I've had a pretty quiet couple of weeks since we did the last episode, going to locals, playing and stuff, and just prepping for this American tour. I mentioned quite a few times in the last episodes. We're going in like 3.5 weeks, I think. So, yeah.
Did you get crushed at a local? I thought I saw some results. Like you're not talking about that. I thought I saw you like at the bottom of the standings almost.
Yeah. What was I playing? God, we play. We have weeklies on Tuesdays, and I did go 3-0 this Tuesday. But I've definitely gone like 3-0, 0-3 or 1-2 at some. I don't know what I play. Probably Painter as well. I don't know. Like it's just a way you go there, get a couple of beers, and talk to friends in the evening afterwards.
Oh, that just sounds so great. Actually, by the way, this is the first time in like a year or something that I'm actually having like a glass of wine again for the podcast because we have something to celebrate. But
cheers to that.
More about that in a minute.
Yeah, I do actually have a tournament coming up on this weekend. There's a big Modern and Legacy event in London. I think the Modern event's going to be 80 to 100 people. The Legacy event is about 50, probably looking to be. I can't actually go to the Legacy one, which is really, really annoying because I have a band rehearsal, which I can't skip. But going to Modern, going to try and see what I can do there. Probably mess everything up.
That sounds like a pretty big thing. Can we link it in the show notes? So who's the organizer? When is it taking place?
It's a shop called Darksphere. Anyone that's been to London before probably might recognise the name. They've been a shop in London for many years, and so they've got their flagship store in Shepherd's Bush now. So Saturday's Modern, Sunday's Legacy. There's still tickets, so maybe we'll get this out on Saturday when it's running. But for Legacy, it'll be available still for the Sunday coming.
What are you gonna play on Modern?
I think I'm gonna play Hammer Time. I've got the cards for that, and it's got artifacts, and I enjoy artifacts.
I appreciate the joy in the simple things. It's not like I like this strategy, and it's like, no, I like this card type. I like artifacts. I'm gonna go for it.
So Dredge has been always my like go-to deck in Modern for years and years and years, and I still do love it. It's just not very good right now. So I think I'm probably missing a bunch of cards because it got updated as well. So I just placed a big order with the local stores this morning to get the last bits I need for Hammer. So yeah,
that almost sounded like you didn't want to name the store because they declined to sponsor us. Actually,
no, I was trying to remember when I this is the dumbest thing. I was trying to remember when I ordered it. Was it last night or this morning? It just doesn't matter at all. I'm just trying to remember what I ordered as well. Anyway, yeah, from Axion now. They're like the biggest tier in England, and they're my favorites. I love them.
Awesome. Yeah, for me, I did commentary with Jonathan Sukanik and Joe Lossett on the Anorak production for the CFB 1.5K. That was pretty cool.
I was
It was
watching
more
that.
like
It was really great. I wasn't chatting because I was just on mobile and stuff, but it was really cool. Really, really enjoyed watching that. It's this kind of like, it's professional completely because Anorak is amazing. You guys are just professional commentators, and it was great to watch. And just like, it's like you were watching a proper stream and stuff, SCG, but it had that kind of like guerrilla underground kind of vibe to it, like Anorak going around and being with the players and stuff. It was super cool. I loved it.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's also funny you say it's professional because we were actually rehearsing the night before, which I guess makes it already kind of professional, right?
Totally.
But
if you try and play it down and then say like we actually dress rehearsed it the night before, that's pretty professional.
I just like I remember at like 2 a.m. I was telling Anorak, you know what? I should take a screenshot of our setup right now because this is the most wacky like ragtag thing to make it work. Like at some point Anorak was like, you know what? If I highlight this window, then your video quality is gonna be better. So for the entirety of the stream, I should not click on another window. It's like,
oh, okay.
You know, one day I want to do it like the very top pros, but yeah, I gotta say, like what Anorak puts on, it's basically the best of the best that you get in Legacy these days.
Yeah, because he like just goes around with a backpack that has Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah, there's like so many 1,000 things that feed into it, like even carrying an amount of like batteries and stuff and getting it done. And sometimes, you know, that there's another setup where he basically streams the video feed to another guy in, I think, like Texas, and then he puts it together and streams it back to Anorak's. Like, it's so insane what you can do these days. I don't know how they streamed events like in the Middle Ages or something, whatever.
How they streamed events in the Middle Ages, yeah.
Actually, what would be like the equivalent? Like, I guess somebody like walking to the town square and retelling the big fight of the 2 nights or something.
Well, I was going to think that the biggest things are just like fights and, I don't know, criminals being executed and stuff. Probably.
Okay.
I
guess that's more like liveleak.com or something.
yeah. I don't know. Where's Anorak when you need him to document the criminal hangings?
That was like a category on Twitch, like, no, yeah, let's not get into that.
No. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, we keep it in. Anyway, okay, in speaking of getting in, I got into the top 8 of a Legacy Challenge. I played Apps.
Nice.
That feels pretty well positioned right now. Like a recent addition, or re-edition, I guess I want to say, is Snuff Out.
Love
That's
Snuff Out.
Yeah, that's being enabled because we can somewhat afford to drop Abrupt Decay and I mean, we dropped Abrupt Decay a while ago, but also Assassin's Trophy, because now we have Busijo, which gives us extra outs against artifacts and enchantments, and Snuff Out overall, just like the yes, you lose for life, but the tempo swing against a lot of decks, it's just like night and day. And yeah,
elves
really
feel like the 4 life, it probably doesn't matter very much, and then like the games where you can't cast it, you're probably losing anyway.
Yeah, and you actually can hardcast it quite a bit. Like it happens quite a lot.
Yeah, I guess like Heritage Druid and a couple of other elves in a bayou, you just easy.
Yeah, it happens pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm been really enjoying that. And
nice.
With that, and speaking of enjoyment, we have a pretty big announcement to make. We already teased it on the Twitter feed. We talked about it in Discord. We collected a couple of like guesses from our fans and enemies. Actually, how would you know?
Is it Murktide Regent is finally banned?
Oh, that's gonna be
the secret. Sorry.
Yeah, dude. I have to edit that. I hope my editing software won't malfunction, but yeah, we have to take that out. Okay. No, I actually invested in Ethara Foragers. I have like 16 copies or something on Magic Online because I figured, you know what? Maybe Murktide's gonna go away, and then Ethara Forager was gonna go back to like 50 or 60 ticks.
No, we've got the new Shredder bird thing.
Yeah, and we talk about that in a minute as well, right? That card is so good.
Before I remembered the name of that card, I saw like Shredder all over Twitter. I was like, oh my god, is Lantern really good again? And I got really excited. And no, it's just a blue flyer that goes in tempo decks.
I was going to say you're the only person who would think that, but actually I saw Marcus Avar talk about that as well. He was like, oh my god, Shredder's coming back? Like, no,
I know.
It's not.
I was like, come on, I love that card.
So yeah, my favorite suggestion that somebody on Twitter actually mentioned was the Everyday Eternal London 5K pub crawl.
We are making this a thing. Thank you for calling that out. Thank you for the idea. I've said to you guys a couple of times, I want to get you and a few other people over to London for one of our monthlies at some point, maybe later in the year. I'll make a big deal of it. We'll do like a special event on the Sunday as well. And I will 100% do a legacy pub crawl, and we'll try and like send some pictures and videos and stuff.
We should live stream it, honestly. Like in real live stream.
So
that would be
there's a thing in London called the Bermondsey Beer Mile, and it's just beautiful. We went there with Eli, Goblin Lucky 1, a couple of weeks ago. And it's just like 10 pubs all in a row, and they all do like special craft beers, and they're all their own breweries and stuff, and there's a cider one as well. It's It's just awesome. So
Oh.
we could play a match of Legacy each at every single one. So I have like 10 points by the end of it.
I want to go to the place. What's it called? Elephant and Castle.
Elephant Castles. It's not. It's actually really close to there. Is
it? Cool.
And then quickly, yeah.
I just like the name so much. I think it's also like a metro station.
Yeah, it is. It's not a great area, but it's got a big elephant on top.
Are there any great areas in London anyway?
Where I live, obviously.
Okay, cool. So I'm actually super excited about that. We should like really like even invite everybody on. Well, invite I guess means not paying for your flights, but
yeah. Well, it's an event. I'll try and I want to do it maybe like August or September probably, just to give people enough of a heads up and stuff. But I'll try and do like one big event and try and get some European people over and stuff and make a push for it. And then we'll do the Sunday. I want to do like either pre-modern, Legacy Unchained, Cube top 8 kind of thing.
Oh my
I've been
god,
thinking for a while.
That sounds the everyday channel London pub crawl. I guess we shouldn't make it a 5k, because if you're playing for 5k, people will probably like take it too seriously.
5k like weight of beers.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So the second suggestion was the return of the LPL. It's not time yet. It's still sleeping. We haven't awoken the Kraken yet, but I love the suggestion. I would love to bring it back one day. There was another one. That was the completion of the website, and that's
Julian's
where
getting
things.
called out.
Yeah, that's where things were getting a little bit out of hand. You know, bring peace to the Middle East or something. I think that's more likely than me finishing the website up until this episode. Even though it's. Yeah, I'm not even gonna make a fool of myself, right? It's been 99% done for half a year now, and you know what they say. Actually, something that really made me think is when somebody told me perfection is the opposite of like performance or something. Like you keep holding out because you want to make it perfect, so you never perform. Actually, maybe that's something I should take to heart.
Term before, but it makes sense.
Yeah,
just release it, and then everyone can tell you what's wrong, and then you fix that.
Yeah, cool. And the fourth one was the Reed Duke Elf special. Dude, I would love to do that. Maybe we should actually talk to Reed. He really loves elves, right? I think he also loves Pox, which is gonna make it a little bit awkward.
I've got a heart for Pox. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, I know, and I have the sound effects to prove it. So yeah, what we actually have going on today is a very, very special thing. And
I was like, how is Julian going to introduce this thing? I love it.
Yeah,
okay.
The thing is, like, we actually have to pay money for it. So we're gonna start putting money into the machine because there's no other way that we can actually like get into it.
Do you have enough? Do you want some?
Yeah, you got some more? Okay, sure, give me here. Okay, this is amazing. Yeah, nice. I think we got enough now.
Here comes a new challenger.
Yeah, we're adding a new host to our podcast.
Dun, dun, dun.
But before we reveal the identity, we want to give you 4 quick hot facts about our new partner, about our new friend, about our new co-host, and maybe you can guess the identity. There's nothing to be won except for satisfaction, I guess. So my number one thing that I want to say is this player, whenever they are playing combo, they are sure to say, good luck, have fun, dude, at the beginning of the match to make sure that you can be in your face. Is that something we should...
Well, I think it's also only combo players say good luck, have fun. So you say it and then you just immediately know you're against a combo player.
Yeah, like basically being in your face. I remember I went to a vintage tournament once where right at the players meeting, one of the players stood up, pointed at another player and shouted, "This guy is playing Dredge," which, you know, knowing about that in vintage is such a big deal, right?
That's so mean. We'll see if this new host says that.
Cool. So if you, I guess not a lot of people will be able to guess just from that. Second fact, and that's actually my favorite fact. I guess we're gonna say he because it's gonna be a guy. He went to preschool for 5-year-olds for half a year. Like, okay, I guess a lot of people do. He was 21 years old at the time. Like, what the fuck?
Getting into higher education at 21 is pretty good.
That's one way to do it. Yeah. Do you get some like kind of certificate at the end? That would be quite sweet, right?
You get like a box. You get to put more boxes in or something.
Yeah. So overall, I think that kind of narrows it down already, right?
Yeah.
There's not too many people who would go to preschool for 5-year-olds at 21, at least with. Yeah.
So.
That sounds like really weird. Third fact. he once rode his bike into a stationary vehicle, like straight up crashed, like, okay, cool, let's do it. And when asked what he learned from it, he said he's gonna fucking do it again. That sounds like everyday tournament material, right?
Yeah, you threaten that vehicle. You get him, cowboy.
In a way that feels like playing without Graveyard Hate, losing to Dredge every single time. You're gonna be like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it again because only idiots play Dredge.
One of Death Threat shape when I get the Green Sun Zenith is enough to beat Dredge. I promise.
There's people who do it like that. It's like, well, what is your solution to this whatever fast combo deck? Well, I have this 5-drop, and if I have Veteran Explorer, yeah, okay, dude, thank you very much. Sit down. And I think the fourth fact, if you can't already guess, you should probably be able to tell after the fourth fact. And that's the weirdest one by far. I'm not even sure if I'm properly representing it, but we'll know about it. He once followed a random guy into a bar after being asked whether he liked women. He was like, yeah, sure, I like women. The guy was like, okay, then follow me. So he followed him into a bar, which turned out to be a brothel. But all that happened, that went down there, was he was served drinks, got smashed, but only not in the right way, I want to say. He had a bunch of drinks and passed out, and there was nothing else happening. So
night of his life.
Yeah, I guess that's actually how we got into the podcast in the first place. Like, hey, you like this and that? Yeah, come on, let's join us.
I want to add a fifth one, just very quickly. And the fifth one is he would have 5 options because he's known for arranging 5 things into piles.
Yeah, and you know, at this point, it's pretty clear who's it gonna be. So with that, say hello to our new host.
I'm pleased to extend my warm greetings to everyone as you celebrate this important milestone. Thank you.
Can you believe it? We got Arnold on the podcast now, seriously. We have a new host, Kai Savatari, joining us. Kai, how's it going? I'm so honored, amazed, and excited to have you on the cast now. I still can't believe it. How's it going, man?
Hey, well, how's it going, everyone? It's your boy Kai Savatari, aka Savatarix, aka the new host of Everyday Eternal. How does that sound? Yeah.
AKA
I'm not,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Dude, I'm not even like, this is so unfair. Like, you can't just play Schwarzenegger and then, you know, like after that, it's just, I'm not even half as exciting as Schwarzenegger, but I guess we're gonna change that in a second. Also, good luck and have fun to everyone listening to this podcast, by the way. And you better,
player in your face.
Yeah, you better get those forces ready.
You know, you're gonna really fake out people next time you're in the tournament. You're playing, I don't know, what's the least combo deck imaginable?
Oh, like, dude, I don't know. So like the other day I was like looking up some deck lists from 2015, and I actually do have a 3-0 finish with Maverick. So
okay, that's the least Kai deck I could ever imagine.
Dude, it was messed up. It only had 2 Stormforge Mystics and like only 1 equipment. Yeah, which was like Sword of Feast and Famine. I have absolutely no idea why I only had Sword of Feast. It was just embarrassing.
Didn't you play some like Nimble Mongoose, Winter Orb, Thresh stuff?
That also happened. Yeah, thank you very much. That's
the guy I know, by the way. So for me, you were the guy. I think we talked about it on your first episode when you came on Everyday Eternal. I think the first time was somewhere around last year. I think the first time I met you, I think I've maybe seen you at tournaments before, but the first time I've like properly met you was like in 2013 when I came to Berlin for the trade fair, and I was asking, hey, well, what can we do? Are there any tournaments? And he told me, yeah, you have to come to this place at Frankfurter Allee, Hotbox. And I just like randomly went there, and there was Kai wearing his Rockstar shirt and playing Canadian Threshold. So to me, you are always the Canadian Threshold guy, right?
Well, I was wearing that T-shirt, saying like Rockstar with like RUG. So I was like basically forced into this position of just like playing Nimble Mongoose. That was just me. And by the way, the hotbox is. I went there the other day, and it is unfortunately it is now like a cupcake store or something like that.
Wait, they're still called hotbox, or is it like?
No, it's probably like hot cake. I don't know.
Okay, I was going to say hot cake as well. Yeah, hot cake. Are they special cakes?
But honestly, like when I went there, it looked like a baseball card store. And then the back room, you know, like almost like in a mafia movie, people would play Magic as well between like crates and everything. It was kind of weird, but I liked it.
Yeah, it's like how can you make it like the most unattractive for Magic players? I suppose. Yeah.
I mean, by Berlin standards, that's probably like the S tier shop or something.
Right. Also, yeah, I gotta mention like to everyone that most people know me from like being this guy who streams Magic and does art and blah 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 from Tokyo, Japan. But last month I moved to Berlin, so I'm also in the European time zone now. So hi everyone who's living in Europe.
Also, hi everybody listening from the other continents.
No.
No, okay. Are we gonna like geo block this episode? You can't only listen to it from like European IPs. Oh, okay.
You don't use- yeah.
Oh well, I'm not in Europe either, so shit, I can't talk. I just realized.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, right? Britain's always like, oh, there's like the continent, and then there's our islands. Like, yeah, sure.
I just still in my head like we're in Europe.
I mean, you still are. You just like did this weird thing where you're like, oh, yeah.
It's
But yeah,
just like it's this weird breakup. You get
yeah.
back
It's actually
together
it's like I'm trying to imagine whether that was like kind of like any of the breakups I had. Not really. I guess
you leave on okay terms, and then everything gets worse.
for one side,
From one side, yes,
and
so
then
true.
Russia attacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Kai, this is amazing. We actually waited for a month whether you would actually survive Berlin, right? You've been to Berlin before, but then you spent I think like 8 years in Japan. Now you came back, and dude, you gotta tell us like how did you, of all the places you could have gone, end up in Berlin? Like, what the fuck, man?
Well, you know, the thing was like, so since I've started streaming, I spent a lot of time at home, you know, like painting, streaming, setting up streams, and blah, blah, blah. There's like a lot of time that goes into this, right? And I lived like back in the day, I lived in this like shoebox apartment. It was literally like 25 square meters. And it was my girlfriend and myself, you know, it was like the two of us spending so much time in that apartment. And it was fine, but you can already imagine, like, you know, if you have so little space for the two people, you know, it kind of drives you nuts. And you were thinking about like moving outside of Tokyo, maybe like to like, you know, a smaller area, but then there's like, well, why do I actually want to stay in? I don't want to stay in a Japanese village, you know. That's not. I mean, I can do that. I can do that when I'm 60, but not now. And also, there's probably no internet.
Sage on the mountain, like people go up there to find out about the best doomsday pile.
If you want those parts, you better come here. Yeah. I don't know. And like, so, and my girlfriend, like, she was really just been really interested in Germany, and so we had a little contract. So I went like, okay, well, you can pick the country, but then let me pick that city. And Berlin is, well, like the main reason why I picked Berlin was basically because my parents are living very close to us, and I thought if you do like a big move from like, you know, Japan to Germany, it's literally like on the other half of the planet. You might want to move somewhere where you get like support, and like not financially, but like, you know, when I'm building up things. And as I'm building up my own stream studio now, you know, I got a little bit of help from my dad, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that place looks absolutely dope. I love that you have like a dedicated office in that regard where all your future content is gonna be produced, and I think that's just like one of the coolest things ever.
Well, basically, we don't have a living room anymore. So that living room is
Okay,
yeah, dude. I mean,
that's the trade-off.
I honestly though, like, I don't think that many people need a living room, because all you gotta do in the living room is just like, I don't know, like watch TV or like Netflix, and that's it, right? And you gotta do this on your PC anyway in your workroom.
So you might as well stay in bed.
Yeah, that's what
You need like a bed, and you need like a bathroom, and that's pretty much it. You can always order
Just
food.
bedstream.
Right.
Or maybe you know you could outsource the whole bathroom thing. You could like call people to wash you. I don't know. Is that a thing?
Yeah, I mean, if the pay is good enough, sure.
Actually, I did that for 14 years. I just realized, but I've never did it to somebody who was just like lazy. I did it to people who needed help. I guess you could. Yeah. Anyway, that's
You
right.
outsourced your washing.
No. I volunteered for 14 years for like an elderly and sick people mobile nursing service. I guess it's always so weird to translate it into English because you do so much more. But let's leave it at that. Also great for picking up girls. Anyway, no, but not patients. But okay, this is okay.
Right.
This is the fucking wine, man. I shouldn't be drinking while recording.
I want to say though, like, this stay in Berlin is not gonna be permanent. Like, this is just the first step, you know, just like dipping my toes into European territory again, and I might end up somewhere else in, you know, like a year or two, or who knows what's gonna happen. So I'm building up everything now in Berlin, but at the same time I'm also like staying pretty flexible, you know, just
Yeah, just don't come to England. Everything else sounds great.
Oh, dude, don't worry, I won't.
I'm not even joking.
Callum, didn't we talk about that you want to move to like the mountains in Italy? Maybe we should set up like the Everyday Eternal headquarters somewhere.
I'm
like
in this middle thing where I don't want to lose my job, but I want to go and live in the Italian mountains. I don't know what to do. Yeah, so I've fallen in love with Italy. I'd love to move there.
Yeah, I think we all love Italy, right? Kai, aren't you going to one of the big events in Italy, or is it Callum? I think one of you guys is going.
Not me. Unfortunately, it clashes.
Well, oh man, yeah. So I announced it, and I haven't said it on Twitter or anything anywhere, but a couple of days ago, like literally like one of my longest and best buddies, like he's even the friend like who started with we started Magic at the same time. We were like, I don't know, like 10 years old or 9 years old.
And he's being released from prison.
Dude, it's his 30th birthday, and
that's what we call it.
Yeah,
okay,
I just can't make it. Unfortunately, you can also cut this out if you want, but.
And speaking of 30th birthday, you know, I thought I was invited to a wedding. And I also dropped out of an Italian event because I thought I was going to the wedding. And then like a week before the wedding, less than a week, they told me, actually, you are not invited. It's just like very close friends and family, or rather only family, because I was very close friends. And I was like, the fuck? Anyway, this is...
Wow, isn't that like the most awkward thing when you think you're already invited and then you aren't?
Yeah, the thing is, I was invited because the proper wedding was a year later. But we had like the bachelor party and everything in the current year. And somehow, like, he told me about the wedding date, and I kind of assumed, because we were like, or are really good friends, I just kind of assumed I was invited. But then literally less than a week before the wedding, when I had prepared like presents and everything, he told me, I asked him like, actually, where exactly do we have to meet? And he was like, oh, this is awkward.
Dude, he won't meet. Dude, you know what? Like, if there's like any future party, like I would go there on purpose and, you know, be like.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I went a year later, and it turned like the wedding was on my birthday. And this is like a little bit cheesy because it sounds like some American movie, but when my birthday happened on the next day, so basically we partied through the night, and then literally at midnight, everybody at the wedding, and like half the people, or more than half the people, didn't know me, like formed a circle around me and started singing. I don't even know, was it like Happy Birthday or something? This was like, wow. I never thought something so cheesy would be so emotional.
That they would decide to sing that Happy Birthday, and it just happened to be your birthday. It wasn't planned. It was just like, oh, we just like this song. It's a wedding song.
Right, I mean, it happens all the time when people like randomly sing Happy Birthday. Yeah,
I sing Happy Birthday at work all the time, just like between doing things.
You know, something that's interesting. My dad actually recently got mildly offended when we sang Happy Birthday for my little niece, and we sang it in English. And even like the little girls sang it in English, and he was singing it in German. And then afterwards he asked me, why is everybody singing it in English? And I was like, I don't even know what the German words for Happy Birthday are anymore. Like, I have no idea. But yeah, I guess we're a legacy podcast after all, right? Callum, we already teasered that there's a big bad bird advice on legacy now, and it's not Avon Mindsensor, literally the best bird in legacy, maybe up until now.
Only
can you introduce us?
Yes, yeah. This card is cool. Came out of nowhere, so it's Ledger Shredder, as I said. Unfortunately, the second best Shredder after Codex Shredder, but it's a 2 mana, so 1 blue. Blue is always good because pitch to force. It's a 1/3 with flying, a bird advisor, and whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, Ledger Shredder connives. And connive is a new ability where you draw a card, then discard a card. And if the discarded card is a non-land, you put a 1/1 counter on this creature. And important thing to realize, this like triggers for both players. So you can like sequence it, like you play the Shredder, then you play a Ponder, and it gets a counter because it's the second spell you've cast. But it's pretty common in Legacy for opponents to cast 2 spells a turn as well. Like, you know, other decks just playing like a cantrip into a threat. Like, I think this is one of these cards which is unassuming, so it didn't really get many people talking about it in previews, and I didn't clock onto it at all. But out of nowhere, the last like 5 days or so, people have been playing it in Delver, people have played it in Modern as well, the Blue-Red Murktide decks, and I think it's just probably going to be in like almost every format. Yeah, it just looks pretty good to me. It's always one of these, sliding into Delver is such a high bar to reach. I'm always feeling a bit skeptical, but I can see it really. Like, you just play this and then your cantrip, whatever, and then yeah, you've got a 2/3 flying for 2 mana, and your opponent then casts something and it gets to 3/4. It's not going to be like as as big as a Murktide Regent, or it's not going to come down and pressure as fast as Delver or Dragon Rage Channeler. So it's competing for slots probably after those three. But what it does is it's a way to filter. So it's like Dragon Rage Channeler in a way that you can find your sideboard cards, like your meltdowns or what have you, your hard hitting things, and then it just does grow on its own. It flies. It's always good in Delver. Like all the threats fly basically, and it's also just like not weak to graveyard hate. And recently Delver has been built to have like Murktides and Dragon Rage Channelers and Delvers, and it is a bit soft to graveyard hate. Like I don't know. I keep seeing people bringing in Leyline of the Void against Delver, and it makes a lot of sense to me. So
Leyline has actually been like pretty good for me against Delver, which a while ago that would have been one of the weirdest things to say, right? Even if they had like some kind of graveyard dependency. These days, except for Delver, everything is all about the graveyard.
Totally. So I could see. I don't know again if this will replace any of the threats that are in there right now. It's such just such a strong suite of threats. Just the Dragon Rage, Delver, and Murktide. But like, yeah, if you do face the graveyard hate, I could see just having a couple of these in the deck. Maybe it ends up playing 4 of. Maybe it's better than we realize right now. But then if you are against these hate cards, you can cycle away your Murktides in the face of a Rest in Peace, and then grow your thing, and just go on from there. Seems really solid.
Yeah, growing your thing, that works, right? So sorry, I have to stay. You guys lead the podcast tonight.
Julian's had wine. What do you think, Kai?
So this card's kind of interesting. Like, you can first of all, you can always play it on turn 2, like Tarmogoyf. Like that's. Remember, like back then when people compared Tarmogoyf to Gurmag Angler, and like people were like, okay, well, Gurmag Angler is strictly better, but they always forget that you can cast Tarmogoyf always on turn 2 without any restrictions, right?
I always see people saying like Murktide is a 2-mana 7/7 flying. It's not.
Well, but, yeah. I mean, it's a 2-mana 7/7 on turn 4.
Yeah, like with spend. It's got the Serra Avenger effect,
right?
In a way.
This Ledge Shredder, like what I can instantly see with this card is like things like Mishra's Baubles, for example, right? Like if you I don't know if this is like a Delver card, but like imagine this card is Ledger Shredder with expressive iterations, maybe the full set of Mishra's Baubles, and you just play a Shredder on turn 2 and immediately follow up with Mishra's Bauble, making like a 2/4. 2/4 are big stats for in the Delver mirror too. So like super true. Good.
I think Delver is. I've seen Julian playing 4 Mishra's Baubles in Delver already, and I think 2 is like pretty common in stock. So this is a kind of card that could just make it go to 4 as well. I actually thought about Bauble. It's a good point.
Yeah, I guess to a certain degree, we are also kind of like already assuming that maybe something's gonna be banned in Delver, and then this would be like one of the easiest slot-ins, right?
Mm-hmm. There's this like a tinfoil hat of like Wizards of the Coast balance board, and you can't let Delver get too far below S tier, so they're just like they've got this waiting in the wings. So like, guys, we've heard you, we finally banned X or Y, and then everyone's like, okay, fine, we've got Shredder to take the place now.
Yeah, but like again, like Shredder has also some I'm already recording Shredder only, but I guess Ledger Shredder is like kind of mediocre against combo, I'm gonna say, right? Like it only has like 1 power to start with, might go up to like 2 or 3 eventually, but it seems quite underwhelming against combo. It's probably okay. It might even like bounce off against endurance, like it might not just instantly die to a flash in endurance. And also what I really like about this card is that you can do a lot of shit mid combat. Holy shit, you can mess up so many games by like if blocks are declared, and then you're gonna like cast 2 cantrips or like a bolt and something. And then if make Shredder like a 3/5 for example, or
and you could. It's also like hard to interact with in combat if like your opponent has some damage based removal spell and they've cast like something before attacking. You can block knowing that if they then cast a bolt in response to it growing from a 1/3, their one would trigger as well or something. It could get like they would probably be able to play around that quite easy because it's in play, but interesting play patterns.
Yeah, something that I also like to see about it is whether it's gonna slot into a little bit more mid-rangey non-Delver decks, because Ozymandias recently brought this up, right? That in blue decks these days, that there's kind of like this weird gap for 2 mana. I guess you could play Baleful Strix in those decks, even though that pulls you into black, and nobody really wants to be in black in Legacy right now, at least in mid-range decks. And this is a card that fits right in, I want to say. Like that, the other options are something like, I guess, Sylvan Library or Stoneforge Mystic. Sylvan Library is pretty good, but you got to be in the color. And I think recently I've also seen people like drop Sylvan Library and play something like Timeless Dragon because it's just better against Delver. And I could see this guy being like a 2 or maybe even a 3 in those mid-range decks.
Sure. Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess like mid-range decks, like those Delver-ish mid-range decks are always a little bit ahead in those like Delver mirrors.
Yeah, and this guy growing to 2/4, right? Like you said, and if you're up against actual Delver with like Delver or Dragon Rage Channel, this is the exact card you want to have.
Yeah, actually, it is just a great blocker as well, isn't it? Just block their Delvers in Dragon Rage Channels.
Also, holy shit, this is the first time I've ever speculated on a card, and I bought it around 4 ticks literally yesterday. I literally quickly installed Magic Online at work because I saw it rising like crazy. It was like 2 tickets, then it was 4 tickets. So before I left work, I quickly installed Magic Online, bought like 20 copies of it, and now I'm looking up the price right now. It's between 17 and 19 ticks and climbing.
Moly.
I mean, we're talking about Legacy, right? But it's also going to be playable in Modern. I think people said it's going to be playable in Historic, even though I have no idea what actually
Pioneer
Historic.
as well on Magic Online.
Yeah, it's all the same. Historic, Pioneer, Alchemy, what have you.
Yeah. I put 4 in my cart yesterday, but I knew I needed to check what's like Hammer Time and stuff I have for the tournament on Saturday. And I was like, oh, I'll just order it tomorrow. And obviously log on today to finish the order, and they said they've all sold out. Clever Callum. It's okay. I don't know where I'll play it.
Cool. Kai, is this going to go into Doomsday?
Is that card gonna like draw the first card? Oh, is that guy's gonna draw into the Doomsday pile? Is what you're saying?
Yeah,
oh my God! You know what?
You play the LED. You draw and discard your deep analysis.
I was just gonna say, like, you know, like let me do this on the fly. So this guy you cast Doomsday, you attack with this Ledger Shredder.
How would you attack?
Dude,
yeah, get that damage in.
Yeah, well, so the top card is like deep analysis. You draw and discard that, and then you go off, right? I mean, I guess it's not as satisfying. Yeah, I don't know.
It's
like,
basically a cantrip in that spot.
Right. I mean, Uro attacks are still my favorites. You know, like attacking with Uro post Doomsday is just like, dude, it's the cherry on top. But I guess Ledger Shredder can kind of like do the same thing.
Yeah, I could like kind of see it as a bit of a sidestepping the hate after sideboard, and especially in the mid-rangey ones that have like Strix and stuff already. It's the cool thing about the card is like, yeah, you said it's not great against combo, which is true. But it has a pretty high floor still. It still is a blue card to pitch to force, a beater if you need it, a card selection thing if you get the flow of cards going. Like, it's not bad at all.
Right.
It's just not great.
Like, yeah. I guess, yeah,
like,
well,
it's pretty better than the Strix, honestly.
I want to say this is the exact power level that I just absolutely enjoy in Legacy. This is a card, if we had that in, 2010, whatever, 2012, everybody would be like, oh my God, this is amazing. Whereas right now it's like, dude, I think this might actually see play. And this is exactly the kind of power level I enjoy Magic at. And I hope, Ledger Shredder, I'm wishing you all the best. I'm knocking my table here.
I can't wait to like edit this and take it in a year's time when the format's been ruined by Ledger Shredder.
But we'll always have the flavor text. No evidence, no crime. This is the best guy. I don't know. I'm in love with it.
Me too, actually. That's really cool.
Cool. So for the rest of the podcast, we picked a couple of deck lists that stood out to us during the last couple of big events, and also some of the 5-0 lists to talk about those. And I think the very first one, like today, when I put the show notes together, I just figured, dude, we have to talk about this deck. It has showed up here and there every once in a while. I haven't seen it 5-0 yet, but this is one of the coolest things. Yeah, this is literally one of the coolest things I've ever seen in Legacy. That you guys see the deck list, right? Do you have any idea which kind of name that deck has right now?
I love it as well. I can't remember the actual name it had. Because I saw someone. It came about by someone posting on Reddit, and like just blew people's minds because he explained it all. And like the combos in it are just crazy. And then
Where do we start?
I saw people experimenting with it, and like the things you can do. It's really like, it looks janky as fuck. And you're like, how on earth did this person 5-0? But it can actually do some slightly powerful things. Like, I mean, if you have a Grist in play, and you play Dwarven Recruiter, you get like 20 insects.
Yeah, so I guess that's already pretty shortcutting through the combo.
Okay, sorry,
the whole idea is the deck plays a bunch of changelings, right? All of the cards, they basically share the same creature type, among them also Dwarf. And yes, Goblin Recruiter is banned, but for 3 mana, we can get Dwarven Recruiter from Odyssey. And what that card does is you get to search your library for basically all the dwarves you could ever want and stack them on top. So the Goblin Recruiter effect. So now we take a bunch of changelings, put them all on top, and then we have Grist +1s to mill top card, give you a 1/1 insect creature, and if it's an insect, which all of the changelings are, among many other things, it's going to repeat that process. So I don't know, you put something like 20 changelings on top, you get 20 1/1s in play, and you also have a bunch of creatures in the graveyard, so the next turn Grist can actually ultimate and probably kill your opponent. So not only do you have a lot of blockers for potential attackers on Grist, you have like many ways to victory from there. You can literally just minus Grist, you can attack with your dudes at next turn, and that's just like one of the things that can do. And there's somehow there's also like slivers in there. I wasn't really following what's going on there. Can you like explain that? Is there...
Yeah, so you're right. I did jump ahead a bit. It was so exciting. I was like, oh my god. Okay, so yeah, we should say the deck list. So it has like 3 Grist, the Hunger Tide, as Julian explained, the Recruiter combo, and you put loads of insects in your graveyard. So it has 1 Crystalline Sliver and then 1 Hibernation Sliver. I think these are just like... So there's Pyre of Heroes, which is an artifact, and I can't remember the exact text, I'm afraid I don't have it in front of me. But it's like a pod, but you have to sacrifice something and get a creature of the same type. So you could sacrifice like a Moth Dust Changeling, which is a 1 mana changeling, and you can go and get Hibernation Sliver, which is like, I think you pay 2 life and bounce Sliver back to your hand, or Crystalline Sliver, which is give all your creatures Shroud, give all Sliver Shroud.
Oh yeah. So you're so right. You're so smart, man.
Yeah, I'm just used to the classic Dwarf Sliver decks in Legacy. I just been around the block, you know.
Yeah, they're like on every corner in London, right?
Yeah. Then we have 2 Dwarven Recruiters. For Magda, I'll get to that in a minute because she's a massive part of the deck. 1 Masked Vandal, which is the one that can exile the artifact or enchantment. 4 Moth Dust Changeling. This is part of a little combo, I believe. It's like a 1 mana changeling, and you can tap it to give a creature flying. You have a Platinum Empyrean. I'll get to that in a minute as well.
I guess you have to say it a lot of times.
Yeah, 4 Universal Automaton, which is 1 mana changeling. 4 Unsettled Mariner, which is a 2 mana changeling, the blue-white one from one of the Modern Horizon sets, I believe. 4 Valiant Changeling. This is like a 7 mana 3/3 double strike, but it costs 2 mana if you control another creature that shares a type with or something. It basically costs 2 mana if you have a changeling in play. Then we have 4 Aether Vials, 2 Pyre of Heroes, which is the like artifact pod thing, which you have to pod into the same creature types. 1 Relic, 1 Retrofit Foundry, and 1 Springleaf Drum. So you can probably guess there's some sagas in the deck. Then the mana base is just like 4 Canon of Souls, 1 City of Brass, 4 Mana Confluence, 3 Reflecting Pool, 2 Sliver Hive, 4 Unclaimed Territory, and 4 Urza Saga.
It's the jankiest deck I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
This is literally your trade binder fell out of your, like, not even your trade binder, your crap binder fell out of your backpack, and like all these cards spilled all over the floor, and you're like, you know what, that's my deck.
I just love it so much. We've got our London Monthly coming up in a couple of weeks, so I think I might have to do this. I've painted enough.
Yeah, I'm looking at this Springleaf Drum, and I'm like, dude, okay, so this is a Saga deck, right? Like, it also does Saga. And it's like, you know, I'm looking at this like one-off spring. This is like so weird. Like a one-off Springleaf Drum. I guess you can get with Saga, but then it's like, you know, like imagine if you prepare for war. And it's like, dude, you're like, what do you got? You know, like I got a sword. You know, I got an axe, and I got a bow, and I got a drum. You know?
Well, yeah, the dwarves have the drums.
You march in front. You put out the music and everything. Show us the power of the drum.
So some of the like other cool combos is Magda. She makes the deck go around in the same way that the Dwarven Recruiter and Grist goes around, maybe even more. Magda is the secret key to the deck, I think. So Magda is 1 red for 2/1. She is, what creature type? Dwarf Berserker. Other dwarves you control get +1/+0. She's going to give basically all your creatures, apart from the 2 slivers, +1/+0. Whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, you create a treasure token. And you can sacrifice 5 treasures, search your library for an artifact or dragon card, put that card into the battlefield. So a little piece of synergy or combo is Moth Dust Changeling. Says tap an untapped, probably creature type. Let me just search Moth Dust Changeling.
Creature, any creature.
Okay, so you can tap a creature, give another creature flying. With Magda in play, you can like play your, you can tap any of your changelings to make a treasure token. You tap it to give something flying, which creates a treasure token from Magda. Because she's not like when it attacks, it's whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped. So you tap all your changelings to make treasures, and then you sacrifice the 5 treasures to search for an artifact or dragon card, which is a Platinum Empyrean in this case. Or maybe the Pyre of Heroes, like you can combo
It's
off
actually
as well.
so insane. Like, through how many loops we have to jump to get Platinum Imperium into play.
Well, it's just a few creatures, and then like
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's also like the extra synergy. For example, if you have Moth's Changeling in play and Magda, and then you +1 Grist after having... I can't believe I'm saying the sequence of cards after having played Dwarf and Recruiter. Then you have like all these insects into play, and while they have Summoning Sickness, they can still be tapped for Moth's Changeling.
Yeah.
And that's going to give you all those treasures from Magda, and then you sacrifice those 5 treasures and get, for example, your Platinum. This is so chunky, I'm loving it.
I've seen Karthus, Tyrant of Jund, in this deck as well.
Yeah, I've lost to that card. I think.
I love it.
Yeah.
Karthus is a 7-mana 7/7 flying, haste, and when it enters the battlefield, gain control of all dragons, then untap all dragons. So you get to then tap them all again to make more things if you want, and then other dragon creatures you control of haste.
Oh, is this not
so
like the most Callum deck?
It's so cool.
Kai, are you gonna abandon Doomsday for this beauty? By the way,
Like-
shout outs to the player, Extendo Hux playing the deck to a 5-0. Like, big respect for that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at this Platinum Empyrean, I'm like, okay, well, we've seen Platinum Empyrean, like, making appearances in Modern sometimes, right? Like, where people go... I guess that's a little outdated.
It's the
already,
Madcap
but-
experiment thing.
Yeah, that one, right. And there were, like, a couple of decks in Modern that just could beat Empyrean. I'm just, like, trying to think if that's the same case in Legacy, you know? Like, if you drop that guy on the table, like, how many decks are instantly gonna scoop to Platinum Empyrean? I wonder. Like, Storm does, right?
Storm does, yeah. Doomsday doesn't. Elves doesn't.
Doomsday doesn't.
Delver probably doesn't. It'll just have like the one of Brazen Borer it'll find.
By the way, I just realized there's a potential upgrade in the deck to be made, because apparently it plays 4 Mana Confluence and 1 City of Brass. Since Platinum Empyrean says your life total can't change, you can't pay the 1 life for Mana Confluence, but you can still tap City of Brass because that's a triggered ability, and you just like then don't take the damage.
Very good point.
Yeah, I don't think this deck can be updated because it's already perfection.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
And also, like, just like a side note, I think this might be like one of the most affordable decks in Legacy, right? Like the creature, like, we got 26 creatures, and isn't it like combined like $20 or something?
Well, that's a good point.
That's crazy cheap.
I was looking at it thinking, God, I'm gonna have to like print off so many things to proxy, but actually, I can just buy all the commons.
Yeah, I guess you have Cavern of Souls and Sagas and
Yeah.
Wilds, but
Otherwise,
and
apparently, and Grist. And
Yeah.
those are like proper
For
legacy
legacy,
cards,
for legacy
right?
though, and it's clearly not that bad. Like I'm trying to hype myself up for it.
By the way,
It's
one
so cool.
one more thing I want to point out. You already touched on it. Radiant Changeling, basically a 3/3 Changeling for 2 mana and double strike. Oh, by the way, I lost to that one too.
Nice.
I lost to a beta version of that deck like 2 months ago. So the idea is you play a Changeling on the first turn, you play this dude on the second turn, and the big deal about that dude is the mana cost is 7. So once you get to Pyre of Heroes, which is, like you mentioned, pot, right? You can pot that guy into Platinum Imperium because the mana cost is 8 on that.
God, this deck is so cool.
God,
Oh my God.
kill
Yeah.
me.
All right, I'm sold. After this, as soon as we finish recording, I'm gonna go and order all these little bits and pieces. I love it. I'm gonna play it next week on my local.
Oh, dude, you gotta give us feedback how it worked for you.
Yo, 3 baby.
Imagine if you actually win the tournament. That would be something.
Dude.
I'll try.
And like, you know, like, and if you play this like in a, let's say, like in a 6-7 round tournament, like there might be maybe like one game where you actually ether while in a Platinum Imperion, you know, like because you got
happen.
literally nothing else to do. Yeah.
They're about to win the game. They have like tendrils on the stack, and you're like, you know what? Wild for 8. Anything else? My turn? Okay, thank you very much.
Like wild for freaking 8, dude.
Oh, by the way, the biggest shout out to Extendo Hux again, because apparently there's not even a sideboard.
I was about
It's
to
just
ask.
straight up 60 cards.
What did you cut it off in the screenshot? But no, it's
No,
just,
They're straight up just like no
Holy
sideboard.
shit. what a champion!
I just
God.
told you this deck is just perfection. You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't need a sideboard. Yeah.
Oh my God!
It's so good.
Wow, I've only heard of one other person like 5-0ing and getting it posted with no sideboard. Is when Orim67 he wanted to prove how good Sneak and Show was at some point a few years ago or a year ago, and he said, "Like guys, it's so busted. I'll just play a league without a sideboard and 5-0," and he did. I was like, fair play.
Oh my god.
But so this is that level. This deck is so busted. Extended Hogs was just like, guys, it's so busted. I'm just gonna like 5-0 a league without a sideboard. I'll prove you wrong.
I mean, it even makes the deck even cheaper Very
Okay,
affordable.
yeah.
You only need 60 cards. That's it. You know, that's the whole deal.
I've got the sideboard worked out. It's 4 Underground Sea, 4 Volcanic Island, 4 Tabernacles,
What the fuck, man? And where do we go from there?
and 3 more Changelings, obviously.
Oh, cool.
Right. Yeah, the most expensive changeling, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I did in the early versions of this deck. I did see Realm Waker, which seemed really cool, which is a 3 mana 2/3. It's green changeling, and when ETB is, I think you name a creature type, and then you can cast creatures of the named creature type from on top of your deck. So I saw some really crazy things with like that in play, and Magda and Mothras Changeling. So you have loads of 1-drops and loads of changelings. So you use the Mothras Changeling and the Magda trick to make treasures to keep playing the things off the top of your deck, and the things you keep playing you keep tapping for mana as well, and you get tons of value that way. I thought that was really cool, but they've gone like this vile route.
If you are listening to this episode, no matter where you are in the world, there's ways of communication. Maybe we should even post our address or something so you can send us a letter. We need a name for this deck, and if it already exists, send it to us at EternalMTG on Twitter and on Instagram. We are not on LinkedIn yet. Actually, we might be. maybe actually I created... I think we actually are on LinkedIn now that I think about it. We're just like, are we the first Legacy podcast? We're probably not the first Legacy podcast that has a LinkedIn. Anyway,
I think
we
it
need a
does
proper
have
name.
Yeah, as I said, it was someone on Reddit who like posted all about it and got everyone excited, and then one guy who's fairly well known in the like Legacy vintage scene, and I'm trying to remember his
Dog
name.
attack. You can probably like make the best pun about like the creature types. Shark
He works
dogs.
on it a bit. He's like, I think he's top rated like a vintage Eternal Weekend, and he's American. He's got short ginger hair.
You can actually narrow it down pretty well now.
Yeah. Anyway, we can carry on talking. I'll remember in a minute.
Cool. So moving on to another Mad Brew. This one is coming to us from, well, it hasn't been played. I guess it was also played by Phil Gallagher. I think he was the guy who I don't know whether he pioneered it or whether he received a donation deck list, but this 5-0 list is brought to us by Wooded Raptors, because after Phil 5-0 with the deck, it basically exploded. And that means Jokulhaups went from like a couple of cents to like $4. And
I don't know if this is more what the fuck than the last deck. I think so.
yeah, it's more in the sense of an additional one. It's not like more in absolute terms, right? It's,
Yeah. It's just like where does this shit come from?
This is basically Mono Red Stompy with a bunch of Planeswalkers. I think we have 10 Planeswalkers altogether, 6 Chandras and 4 Karns. We got the Bloodsun, we got the Ensnaring Bridges, we got the Chalices of the Void, right? You've seen that before. And then we have 4 Jokulhaups. Is that, am I saying it correctly?
I think so, yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Like, red gets to spend 6 mana and you still don't get to destroy enchantments. It's a sorcery, 4 colorless and 2 red. Bury all artifacts, creatures, and lands. And for those of you born after the year 2000, bury means they also can't get regenerated.
Yeah, take that.
When's the last time somebody regenerated a land in Legacy?
I have Welding Jarred, a Great Furnace in response to Wasteland. Thank you very much.
Ooh, sick. That's spicy, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very rare. It's
Like,
very, very
I
rare.
was gonna say like it blows up all the lands, but at least you can keep your Chromux around, but it also buries all artifacts. So I guess
This is
that's so sad, because I was looking at this list and I was like, hey, if you have the Trinisphere in field and then you blow up all the lands, that's gonna be like game over. But it also blows up everything you just played except Bloodsun, right?
And the Planeswalkers.
And the Planeswalkers.
That's the whole deal, right?
Ah, I see.
It's basically like Mono Red Super Friends, and you have a way to basically clear the board except for enchantments and Planeswalkers. And since we are playing like 10 Planeswalkers and have a bunch of acceleration, so I guess the idea is we quickly ramp out a Planeswalker and follow it up with Jokulhaups. And then we are at that point the game literally restarts while we have a Planeswalker in play. Like, how many games are you going to lose when you have like a 4-mana Planeswalker in play after the game restarts?
Exactly. Also, like, so Punishing Fire, it can only take take down a small percentage of the creatures in Legacy, right? But like, well, if you have a sweeper effect in addition, this kind of like reminds me of good old, like Swords to Plowshares plus like Terminus in control decks, like you got like some spot removal, but then you have also like the reset button.
Yeah, and where basically the challenge is you have to navigate your way so you don't get blown out by Terminus, but you don't fade away against swords, Snapcaster Swords, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. And Punishing Fire, can pretty much do that.
Actually, this is the best deck in Legacy now that I think about it. Like, strategically, it's perfectly set up.
I mean, what I want to see is basically like, you know, how good is this deck against like those like dwarven whatever pile. Like, imagine if you have like, I don't know, like 30 freaking insects out there, and like 26 dwarves changelings, and then, you know, opponent goes like, you know, blow up all creatures and lands and artifacts. Literally everything you play is just boom, gone.
Yeah, and then, you know, then they use Mothra Changeling to use, what's her name, Magda, to make a bunch of treasures. Use those to get some kind of dragon into play that regenerates all your, I don't know, artifacts.
You're talking my language.
Yeah, we're talking. You know what we're talking about? We're talking about the Legacy Degeneracy League. That
yeah.
should be
When's that starting? Rather than the LPL, when's that starting?
I was gonna make a joke about some kind of tournament that I don't like, but then I realized there's no Legacy tournament that I don't like. I wanted to throw shades at somebody. You know those tournaments in that city. They are basically that. But yeah, that does not. By the way, in speaking of tournaments, shoutouts once again to the etc. Legacy tournament and Freising. I think last time we once again had something like 40 to 50 people. Absolutely insane what those guys are putting together.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Kyle, you moved to the wrong city.
Well, he said he's going to move, so maybe go to Freising.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
yeah.
By the way, Callum, are you sure you don't want to learn German because your pronunciation is so on spot?
Ich kann sprechen ein kleines bisschen auf Deutsch.
You know, that sounds so Dutch.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, Dutch is weird. I was in Holland for a while, and they're very weird. No offense, Dutch people. I do like you, but the language is so weird.
You know what they tell you, like when you have a podcast or produce any kind of content, don't like randomly inside whole groups of people.
I'm sorry, I have a bunch of Dutch friends, and I always say it to them.
Yeah, that's what you say.
They hate me for it.
You know, I have Dutch friends. Yeah, sure.
I definitely, I promise. I mean, no offense. It's a very funny.
If you're from the Netherlands, please message us whether you can vouch for Callum. Otherwise, we have to discipline him.
I'm basically ragging on myself. Like, you're like, you've got a Dutch accent. I'm like, yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? So,
I mean, look who's talking. We're speaking like German English. Anyway.
Yeah. Just very quickly, I have found the original Reddit thread. It's from the Dreamstalker and they call it dwarf bugs.
I mean, technically, is bug a creature type? Probably it is.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
I mean, insects are bugs.
Yeah. So I'll send the link to you so we can post it in the show notes, because they go through a very long list of like where they started from and everything. They got freaking swarmyards in here. I'm even more.
Oh my god. I have one of those actually. That regenerates like target insect or something. Like with a changeling, it regenerates any creature.
Yes. Hell yes, it does.
I still want to figure out like how they arrived at 2 dwarven recruiters.
So we'll link it, and there's tons of things talking about lots of stuff. There's a bit saying the Realm Waker Magda plus Dwarven Recruiter Cannon combo. So yeah, let's say that for you.
You know what I want to do? I want to travel back in time like 15 years in Legacy, and people are going to be like, oh, wise master from the future, what are people going to be doing in 2022 in Legacy? It's like, yeah, we got this deck, it's called Dwarf Bug. It uses like, I don't even know what. And it destroys everybody.
Oh dear. Okay, I promise you I'm going to win the next London Legacy with this, and you're going to eat your words.
You're going to continue until you've finally mastered it. Yeah, that sounds right.
All right, Dwarf Bugs did it.
So the third deck I want to talk about, and that is actually I think this is even more competitive, like legit competitive than the first 2 decks that we talked about, and that's gonna come from friend of the show, Reelcheep. Reelcheep has put together, I think we can call it like Black-White Humans, right? He got third place in Legacy Challenge very recently, I think on the 1st of May, Labor Day. Hey, everybody rise up.
Yeah, Reelcheep, well done, man. Really good result.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it on Twitter, so before we go into the details. So the whole idea of this is, from what Reelcheep told us, you're really good against Delver. You are really good against like most of the blue decks, I guess, unless they combo you, because there's not really too much counterplay. You have some counterplay against combo, but against like all the mid-range blue decks, I want to say, and especially against Delver, this deck is pretty straightforward. And I think also like from the way it's built, it's 34 creatures and 4 wilds. Like this reminds me of the Legacy Murfolk deckers of old.
Yeah, it's even less spells than they would have.
Yeah. They would sometimes even have like dazes and forces, but this one's literally straight up just creatures and artifacts. I guess like 5-color humans like we have in Legacy does that, but this one is just like limiting itself to mostly white and a little bit of black.
It's cool because all the creatures are utility as well, right? So you have your beaters, Champion of the Parish, but then like Esper Sentinel is disruption, General Kudro is, I believe, it's a 3-mana 1 where it can exile creatures and cards from graveyards as well in certain ways. Then you have like Kitesail Freebooter that looks at their hand and takes stuff. Nightclubber gives all your opponent's creatures -1/-1. Thalia, we obviously know, taxes spells. Tomic turns off kind of like targeting lands with things, so like Thespian Stage and stuff. So there's just a lot going on in the creature base, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and after looking at this, you might be asking, why is there no Stoneforge Mystic, right? In a black-white deck with so many creatures. But maybe the Champion of Parish and Thalia's Lieutenant, those cards is just gonna make those other creatures so big that equipments maybe literally don't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty low curve. You have Brutal Cathar at 3, you have the General Kudra at 3. I think Nightclubber is 3 as well. But a lot of your early stuff comes from, you have these powerful 1 and 2 drops. You have Champion of the Parish, Esper Sentinel, Mother of Runes at 1 drops, and they're all very powerful and kind of require answers pretty quickly. So they're almost better than the 2 drops actually. Thalia's Lieutenant is probably your curve topping through 2 drop in a way, puts counters on all 1 drops. Tomic is kind of a bit of disruption as the land thing I said. Thalia we just know is good in Legacy, and Kitesail Freebooter goes up and down in different matchups and stuff, but the deck just also has flyers as well. You can't underestimate how Kitesail Freebooter is a 1/2 flyer, but with Thalia's Lieutenant, put some counters on there and stuff and get cracking. It just pushes through damage and stuff.
Yeah, kind of like that. Also, this deck again is pretty affordable, right? Are we looking at 2 dual lands? It's 2 scrub lands. We have 4 Ether Vials, a couple of Wastelands, and Cavern of Souls. Well, okay, those are the expensive cards, but all the creatures I want to say are pretty affordable.
I guess Esper Sentinel is the playset on MTG Goldfish says it's $116, but altogether the deck is sitting at $1,777, but almost half of that is just the 2 scraplands. So I guess if you want to play Godless Shrine,
you probably could play Godless Shrines.
Yeah. So hear me out. I can't really say if this deck is good or bad or better than Death and Taxes. I can't really tell, but if there are more decks that are popular or making appearances in Legacy and they're pretty cheap, affordable, I'm all about that. That's great. For bringing new players to the format maybe, and yeah, generally good vibes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Reelcheep basically pitched it as, this is fantastic against Delver. He said he just always beats Delver, which is a really good place to be when Delver is as dominant as it is now. The question proposed to him and everyone else playing it is he said he loses to non-blue mid-range, and then I think I'm gonna guess kind of the Uro control decks are probably close. I can see this deck just running over them sometimes.
Yeah, I guess the idea is you look at the sideboard to figure out what you need to have against. There's 4 Mindback traps, which is pretty rare these days. But I can really appreciate that. If you have a turn to Thalia, for example, then your Mindback traps are gonna be your way to bridge the gap until you can land Thalia. There's 2 Katakis. I just whenever Kentucky shows up. And then a bunch of utility, Swords to Plowshares, Cathar Commando, 3 Ley Lines, more Nightclubbers. We can go up to all the 4 Nightclubbers. By the way, they have Blitz. That's this new ability, which is kind of like Evoke, but you also draw a card and you can attack with it for a turn before it dies. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So it comes in, it does its effect at ETBs, gives your opponent's creatures -1/-1, I think, and then it gets haste, so you can attack with it, and then at the end of the turn you sacrifice it, and when it dies you draw a card. So it's pretty good value. It's a pretty powerful effect.
Loving this deck.
Yeah.
And
really
you know
cool.
what I like? I really like it when somebody proposes a new deck and they are very clear about what it's supposed to beat and what it struggles against. Because I hate it when somebody pitches a deck and they're like, you know what? It's actually pretty decent against everything, because I don't trust them unless they literally broke something. I think I would believe they're full of shit. Whereas Reelcheep from the very beginning has been like, you know what? This is supposed to wreck Delver, and it really struggles against non-blue mid-range. And that's something I can trust. And I like trusting people when they pitch decks.
Yeah, Reelcheep is also known for playing and pioneering mono black curses, and this is the opposite, no creatures to all creatures. So you can be oh, it's just not him trying what he usually tries and stuff. This is completely different. I know he's experimenting with the spirits as well. He's just a brewer at heart, but this is he's probably looked at it okay, the way to beat Delver is just overloading with disruptive and fast clock creatures, and I can totally see that, honestly. I do worry sometimes that you'll lose to a big dragon quite easily, but he has experience and I don't. Like you have the Mother of Runes to protect your kite sail freebooters to block and stuff. And I think General Kudro exiles creatures. I need to look it up.
Actually, General Kudro, when General Kudro or another human enters the battlefield under your control, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. And the other thing is you can pay 2 mana and sacrifice a human, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Yeah, so that's one way to get rid of it.
Yeah, cool.
Right.
I guess the other way is to basically like you have 6 flyers, atomic flies as well, and then you can use Mother of Runes to like block and use Mother of Runes. Or I guess in Tomic's case you could also like block and bounce with Caracas when you're in a pinch. That's not ideal, but it's a way to basically fog Murktide Regent.
Yeah, it's not bad. Also, like this deck just kind of goes face like every single game. Like, there's no Recruiter of the God, for example. Like there's no like slowish, just generating a bunch of value kind of creature. Like everything in this deck is either like protection or like a disruptive fast clock threat kind of thing. So this deck might always be the aggressor. Like it might not fall behind, in defense like Death and Taxes does sometimes, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, this is like, I mean, when you're on defense with this deck, you don't really have any kind of like card advantage to try to make up for it, unless you, I guess, pull off some kind of, I'm looking at some kind of cards like Nightclubber things or General Kudo, where you get like favorable trades because of Etherwile. But other than that, yeah, you want to go to the face and you want to finish the games quickly. That's certainly what it looks like. Oh, by the way, another way to get rid of Murktide is Brutal Cathar, which when it comes into play, it's access basically Oblivion Rings one of your opponent's creatures. And it can also, when it becomes night, I guess, it flips into some kind of werewolf, and that has ward, pay 3 lives, so it's also going to make it a little bit harder.
Oh, sweet.
Also,
yeah, like imagine like taking Murktide Region with Brutal Cathar, and even if it comes back, it's it's going to be a 3/3, right? There's not going to be any counters.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So I mean, like, not too scared of a 3/3,
until they play the next one.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so those are a bunch of cool decks that we've seen in top 8s of Legacy Challenges 5.0 lists recently. And then we finally had another big paper tournament. That was the SCG Games Con. Actually, that sounds like they were conning people. It's more like the SCG Con. That sounds much more professional. The SCG Con Pittsburgh 5K. And they had Legacy tournaments on Friday and on Sunday. And guess what? Who won both events?
Delver, obviously.
No.
Dwarf Control. What?
Yeah, I think there was somebody trying to play Dwarf Control, but they couldn't find their Moth Dutch changelings in time. Otherwise they would have taken.
Oh no!
Somehow SCG didn't bring those to the tournament. Who can believe it?
No.
No, good old Green-White Depth won both their Friday and this Sunday event. Friday in the hands of Michael Mapson of the Depth podcast, and Sunday in the hands of Rodney Bedell. That deck's just cool.
It's just great. I think every time it comes up in conversation, we're both like, this deck is great, it's underplayed. It attracts people that are good at these kind of decks as well. I'm going to say, like, I feel like the people that play these lands-based decks they have more attention to detail in the games than others. Maybe they can confirm or deny. I don't know. Maybe you guys can like confirm if you're playing against kind of players. But I feel like whenever I play against someone that has depths in their deck, I'm like always terrified. And this deck like capitalizes on that and then just beats you in the face with a knight as well, like a 10-10 knight. Just, oh shit, or I was concentrating on the wrong thing. And yeah, this deck is just constantly impressive to me. I think it's still underplayed.
I think this is one of those decks that if you know how to play it really well and you're up against somebody who's a little bit uncomfortable or even inexperienced in a matchup, you can really capitalize on that, because there's just like so many even instant speed ways with Knight and crop rotation and even Elfish Reclaimer. And also, Yavimaya, which sometimes make it so that you have more mana than your opponent initially calculated if they miscounted or didn't see a certain line, that you can really, really punish people that way. And that's just like the kind of magic that I love to play, where you feel like, you know what, you came here, you're not prepared, get wrecked.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's like a gatekeeper is the term, I think, right? Although it's not like as popular as like that terminology, I guess. But yeah. It will just punish anyone that's with any unfamiliarity, like so fast.
And it looks like actually both players played the very same list, unless SCG made a mistake of posting them.
No,
but this is literally the same 75.
It is card for card because they use the same cards as well.
But seriously?
Yeah, seriously. I don't know who was who.
Yeah.
I think they're Michael's cards. Rodney is famous in the SCG circuit world and other tournaments.
For not owning cards and always borrowing them.
The absolute opposite. So he is famous for like lending everyone cards. He'll go there like with 20 decks for everyone. He'll give out like 5 blue-red Delvers, and he just kind of has everything. He usually plays Doomsday. He's very good at Doomsday as far as I know. But he is like the guy with all the bling and gives everything out. And so I don't know the arrangements. It could be the other way around, but I think they were Michael's cards who lent them to him for whatever circumstances. Maybe he had another deck and just fancied playing this after it won Saturday. But yeah, I saw a Twitter thing saying it's the exact same cards that won both days. So that's sick.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna hear all the stories on the next Depths podcast for sure. Yeah. Shout out to Michael Mapson. That's pretty impressive. Also, like whenever a non-blue deck, wins an event, I think that's generally a good thing. People like that, right?
Yeah, especially of ones which are like. So I think these were 6 rounds each. The number of players kind of wanted 7 rounds, but the timing restrictions being one-day events meant they were 6, and so there were some weird breaker things. Is what I heard. I don't want to like take my word for it, but 6 rounds is still a lot of rounds, and to be non-blue and do well in tournaments after like X rounds after a certain amount of time, it always takes just very well piloting.
Yeah, even though like the deck is a bunch of one-offs, I think overall the deck is pretty consistent in what it's supposed to do. I love this. Actually, I was recently because I own enough Savannas to make it a thing. I was recently even thinking about playing this in paper, but then I looked up the price of Max Diamond. But you know what? There's always proxies, especially like for all these European events these days, right? Cool. You know what my favorite part about the deck actually is?
No,
Power of the Magistrate. That's just like such a cool. Like, it has been around for such a long time in Legacy every now and then to basically make it so that you can unequip equipment from your opponent's side of the board. And I think the coolest thing you can do it is you can actually handle Caldra complete with it, because you can give the token protection from artifacts, and then the token disattaches from and ceases to exist, I guess.
The reason this is here for though is for Thopter tokens, because Sai destroys depths.
Oh, because you can never attack past those, right?
Yeah, so you can't Sigiri step through Thopter tokens. So Sai has been like secretly the absolute bane of Dark Depths decks since like 8cast popped up, and so this is what it's there for.
Oh yeah, even if you Caracas Sai, they're probably already gonna have a bunch of tokens and can replay it and get them. Oh my god! Oh, this is smart. This is so smart on so many levels.
And it's perfect because you just like Knight for it, or you Crop Rotation for it, or Reclaimer for it. Like the deck has so many tutors, it's crazy. Like the deck has more tutors than Storm, and it's so consistent.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're like, whoa, buddy. My Ponders are demonic tutors as well.
Yeah, I think on a couple of past episodes we've always been highlighting how green-white depth in a lot of events actually had one of the highest, if not the highest, win percentages. And I think when it's like incompetent hands, this deck can absolutely crush people.
I think so as well. It's really cool to see that it's usually just straight green-white, but they are splashing red for 2 Pyroblast, 1 red elemental blast as well.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
It's just extra power, right?
Yeah, I always feel like, like if a deck is like 2 colors, you can most of the time you can like comfortably splash a 3rd color as well. Like you already, I don't know, like from 3 to 4 might be like a big stretch, but like from 2 to 3, like usually like not a big deal.
I agree, especially with something as you have Mox Diamonds as well. There's more of a cost here because you are playing stuff like Bajuka Bog and Thespian Stages and Dark Depths that don't tap for colors and stuff, but you are playing 28 lands, so most of them are spell slots anyway.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
So looking at the overall results from these 2 big paper events, something that I want to point out is that despite what people sometimes say, or like I guess there's some kind of prejudice against the quote-unquote inbred Magic Online metagame where people are like, oh, this is not the real Legacy, and we've talked about this in the past, right? This is pretty much the same.
Like online.
Yeah, this is pretty much the same what we see online, with Blue-Red Daiwa being not only the most played deck, but I think win percentage-wise usually also one of the most winningest deck that are played by at least 5 or so people. You always get this like one person playing one deck, making top 8 and posting the highest win percentage. But of the decks that actually have a bunch of people playing them, I think Blue-Red Daiwa was at the very top again.
Yeah, it's so on the Saturday we have Michael Mapson winning. Then we have 2 Urine decks. We have a mono red Stomping and mono red aggro, so I think they're both moon kind of chalice based decks. Then we have Jeskai Control, and then 8 casts, and then 1 Delver on Saturday. Then on Sunday, we have Rodney winning with Greenlight Depths again. Then a Grixis control. We have 1 Jeskai control, 3 Delvers, a Doomsday, and a Lands. So 4 Delvers across the 2 top 8s, 1 and 3. But then if you look down the top 16, there's like a smattering more. We do see a bunch of like 8 casts on the Sunday as well. Which, by the way, in 15th, Jordan Mayer, that's I've forgotten the Magic Online name, but it's the guy that won 3 in a row challenges.
He played 8 cast, right?
Yeah. So he's there in 15th on the Sunday.
That guy destroyed, man. But yeah, I'm looking at the win percentages. So I think that this one was on Sunday, where Delver had 59%, and on the other day, it's also the most played deck at 59%. Okay, so, and the other one, it's also the most played deck, and it's at 55% win percentage. So we're not really here to like discuss, is this like the really best deck in Legacy? Because there's other podcasts who will tell you that, and we're just going to be like, yes, it is.
Also, yes, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
I just like, whenever I look at these Blue-Red Diver lists, and I'll put it in the show notes like that as well, it's basically if you're trying to spot the differences between the different main decks of Blue-Red Diver, it's almost like where's Waldo of Magic, right? You're going to try to figure out what's actually different between these main decks, because they're so set in stone. There's really only like 2 or 3 cards in difference. And that almost like reminds me of the days of Canadian Threshold like 15 years ago or so, where it's also like completely set in stone, teched out, and everybody's playing it that way.
Hey, they didn't always play Rushing River. Now we're talking about 2nd or 3rd Mistress Bauble.
Good. And also like multiple Power Blast these days now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it 2 main deckers kind of stock?
Yeah.
I think I'm happy it's happening. I don't know how I feel. I love like whenever Justin Gennari, I'm level 1, sees this shit on the things, he's like, Legacy players, just play full main deck Blast, get used to it, you'll love it. It's just like, yeah, maybe we should.
Yeah, Justin sometimes is like the voice of reason when it comes to Legacy.
Right. I mean, like that's gonna happen, and then of course Dark Depth's gonna win the tournament, right? Because obviously.
I just know that I get used to it with Painter, but like if you're playing main deck Blast, I just see these screenshots of people with like 2 blasts in their opening hand, and then your opponent goes like Plains Aether Vial, and you're just like, well,
yeah, and then you blast the Orion when it comes down. I've done that. God,
yeah,
and they want to die on site.
Yeah, I've heard that every time a Orion gets main deck blasted, a baby dies or an angel dies.
I was gonna make a joke about like a kitten dying or something, but like you went way darker.
Let's go with angel. The Orion's an angel, basically.
Is it though?
A serpent angel.
Cool. Guys, what are you gonna be up to this week? What's next for you in terms of like Magic, in terms of life? What are the most bothersome things going on?
Immediately after this, I'm going to be actually, no joke, going on. So I've got this tournament on Saturday, so I need to work out a Hammer Time deck. I'll get the cards together. I think I need to just order a couple more cards, and then, much more excitedly, I'm going to go back to this Bug Dwarf deck and finding all the cards I need and ordering them to pick up at the event as well.
Oh god, I don't even know what to start with this deck, honestly. Like I don't think I've ever had a Springleaf Drum in my hand, like ever.
Oh,
it's about time, man. Dude. It's absolutely about time.
You know,
I don't know, man. Like
it's also gonna give you an additional way to tap your creature, so you can get more treasures from Magda.
Oh wow!
yeah.
Is that like secret? Is that like secretly like the best Springleaf Drum deck?
It's like a Soul Ring. You get a mana from Soul Ring and a treasure.
I mean, there's not too many to choose from, like when it comes to the best Springleaf Drum deck, man.
I will say, you laugh at Springleaf Drum, and when you play these kinds of decks, you do fetch it a lot. Because you play these kind of decks a lot.
Yeah, because there's not much else to really fetch there, I guess. But cool. Guys, I think we're gonna call it a day here. And
yeah, Kai, you got
actually, Kai, I'm not used to having and I was like way too deep into the wine. Anyway, Kai, what are you gonna do other than trying to survive in Berlin? Like, what's the situation right now? Are you gonna go outside, or is it too dangerous?
Buy some Magdas?
Well, it is dangerous. That's why I'm like proper like setting up everything at home. I got some kitchen supplies the other day. Started to cook. Starting to get back to that like normal life. You know what I mean? Like the first like 2-3 weeks, it was kind of messy.
Those are the easy ones.
Oh, dude, yeah. Well, you wish, right? Like you can't really cook. You can't really do anything at home. It's kind of like trying to get as many kebabs as possible.
Yeah, that's Berlin. I'm loving it. I can't stop making fun of Berlin. I love that city, but
Dude,
it has a certain reputation for a reason.
Yeah, dude, Berlin's a meme. Holy shit. Yeah.
But yeah, have you found like any local tournaments, right? I think you told me about that. It's actually kind of hard to find events in Berlin. It's kind of weird, right? And in a lot of like big European, or at least German cities, the big cities don't have the legacy tournaments, but then all the suburbs have like the really good, the hot stuff. Like all these like 40, 50,000 people suburbs, they have like the legacy tournaments. Whereas like the million people city, it's like, no, we have draft.
Right.
This is what we had for London. Before I started doing the monthly tournaments, there was just nothing in London at all, and so we used to travel a couple of hours outside London to go to these small events and stuff. But
yeah,
that happened to me last time I was in London for a trade fair. I messaged somebody and they told me, yeah, so we got this car going to like the Welsh border where there's like a village and they do legacies. Like this is like one of the biggest cities in Europe, and you're telling me I have to go to Wales to play legacy? Like, get fucked.
I think the thing is, when you're in a small town, you don't have the shop to rely on, or if you do, they just run it. So you kind of you're one of those two things. In a big city, I don't know why the bigger shops don't always run it, but if not, everyone is like kind of just expecting it to happen otherwise, so you don't start organizing things. But
yeah, kind of. Like, okay, so I mean, it is a hard cut from Tokyo to Berlin in terms of like tournaments.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, Callum, like it's pretty much the same here, where like most stores are not really that interested in like running that many events in different formats. So I think what I did 7 years back in Berlin was to basically collect all the phone numbers, and just like making sure that everyone is on the same line, getting like a nice location, getting that pairing app, and preparing some card prices, kind of like doing it like DIY style. And I might do it again.
Yeah, like running into the car with your bike, right?
Oh yeah,
As
I mean,
we heard
like,
about earlier.
yeah, you can bet your asses. It like the whole tournament's gonna be in my studios, like, so I don't have to go anywhere. It's just gonna be in the slot.
Okay, we're gonna see some streams of that, right?
Oh yeah, we gotta live stream that. Holy shit, sign me up. Yeah, that'd be so cool.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, if you want to support all these crazy endeavors that we're going to have in the future, and you want to save Kai from running into cars or going to brothels without getting any service, you can support us on the Everyday Eternal Patreon, patreon.com/Everyday Eternal, or you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Go there and let the world know what kind of a great 5-star podcast we are. Thanks a lot for everybody who once again did this during the past month. We really appreciate it. Like, it absolutely makes my day whenever I get a notification about that.
It really does. He messages me on Facebook, really excited.
Yeah, we have like this Everyday Eternal headquarter group, and I love
really
posting the stuff there. Yeah, everybody who posted a review, you've been internalized into our internal chat. So thank you so much for that, guys. Where can people find you? You can find the podcast on @EternalMTG on Twitter and Instagram. But where can people find Callum and Kai?
Callum
and Kai, by the way, that goes really well together. You guys should make another show.
Callum and Kai, and I guess Julian. Podcast.
Callum and Kai, and then you need something else that starts with a K.
Julian.
No, like an activity. What's like a cool activity that starts with a K?
Oh, canoe or something? No,
canoeing.
Callum and Kai canoeing.
that was like the first thing that popped in my mind. It could be canoeing.
Callum and Kai canoeing. Yeah, the new podcast.
All right, Kai, let's go canoeing.
We're gonna rebrand.
I'm at Callum Smith MTG on Twitter. That's the best place.
Yeah, people can find me on most social media platforms. It's Salatarix.
Are you? When are your streams gonna resume? I think I haven't seen them ever since you've moved to Berlin, right?
Oh yeah. I haven't started streaming yet. Tomorrow we're gonna get a new internet connection from a new provider. Like, trying to get the best out of it. And I will hopefully be able to start streaming like next week or the week after. But I kind of like, in my heart, I'm like, dude, I'm just waiting. Counting the seconds. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be tuning in. Actually, now it's gonna be during my workday. That makes it all that much easier, I guess.
Nice.
Awesome. So yeah, that's gonna be it from us today. Thank you everybody who's supporting the podcast with reviews, spreading the word, or signing up to our Patreon. Especially our Eternal Witness tier Patreons: Tommy Hinks, Testacular, Sebastian Holager, Guillaume, Hanawar Elf, and Severin Schwarzhuber. And our top tier Grizzlebrand supporters, Victor Bernatz, Bachubat, Scott Monroe, Jeremy Gates, Hendrik Korkutz, Tom Hepp. By the way, Tom, we haven't seen you in forever because I actually don't know what's going on, but a lot of people have been asking me, hey, when is Tom gonna come back? We need more wisdom from Mr. Tom. But yeah, maybe you'll find more about that in the future. And Paragon Games in St. Louis. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for coming on, and see you again when we learn more about Kai's adventures in Berlin. Bye bye.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.